Expect them to have similarly dramatic moves, or is there a major rotation that you're expecting?
Well, John, we've already witnessed this happen in large caps. Nvidia's risen 40% in 8 trading days. So when someone says the Russell 2000, which is made of even cheaper companies, can't rise 40% in the next 5 months, they're forgetting that we've already seen huge moves in the mega caps. I don't think the mega caps have to go down.
Do you expect it to happen in isolation with the small caps is what I'm getting? I know that Nvidia's done that. Some other stocks have done that themselves. But if you're talking about all of the small, the small caps as an index moving up that much, what do these other things do?
Well, I think that a 40% move in small caps doesn't mean the rest of the market goes down. I just think that's going to highlight that the market is broadening, which is something we all expect, but it's also basically doing a risk-reward analysis, which is, look, I think if you can get 18% earnings growth and pay 10 times earnings, perhaps that's a good risk-reward. And I think money that's on the sidelines or people who've been thinking bonds are going to be, and cash is a place you want to stick for the next 5 years, but if the Fed starts cutting, they're going to look for places where there's good risk-reward, and I think that's small caps.
Do you need dramatic cuts for that thesis to pan out? Or are there other potholes in the road that you see that threaten your thesis?
Well, a recession would be negative. I don't think the Fed has to make major cuts. It actually just has to, I think the market narrative that would be the best for small caps is the belief that real interest rates are too tight now, 5.5% versus inflation trending towards 2%. And getting rates back down to a neutral rate of 3%, if the market believes that, they don't need the cuts to be front-end loaded, but they have to believe we're going back towards neutral. I think that'd be a huge catalyst for small caps.
Okay, now let me ask you about more about mega caps and about the consumer. How important, not necessarily just to small caps, but to the whole market narrative, will Nvidia earnings next week be?
Well, Nvidia is really important because it's underpinning really what is driving the U.S. economy, which is a real push towards productivity, using basically digital tools and automation. That's a very important disinflationary trend. And of course, the U.S. companies, all of the big ones are all the U.S. I mean, it's a global phenomenon that benefits U.S. companies. So I think it's incredibly important. But Nvidia, trading at 26 times forward earnings isn't that demanding a stock either. So it's not like I would say sell Nvidia to buy small caps. I think Nvidia is still a long-term buy.
Now, what about the holiday season and the consumer who's very stretched, particularly the working class consumer? What kinds of numbers perhaps did you expect to see at the beginning of that season? Oftentimes that can set the tone for how retail stocks and some other things perform.
Yeah, the consumer is under stress. I mean, it's known that things that are high interest rate, like credit card, auto loans, HELOCs, adjustable rate mortgages, these are all subject to Fed policy. It's been a very penalty rate for consumers when inflation's coming down and they're paying these very high rates. So cutting rates would be a tailwind. Falling gasoline would be helpful as well. And I think the third is CEO confidence has been put on hold as long as the Fed's been tight. If the Fed starts to signal a rate cutting cycle, I think businesses will start to be more expansionary, and that's good for consumers as well.
Announced at the recent J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference, NVIDIA's AI advancements promise to revolutionize how healthcare institutions operate in the face of workforce shortages. With big names like Intrivo and Abridge already joining forces with NVIDIA, the buzz around this transformative opportunity is surging across Wall Street and hospital corridors alike. Let's delve deeper into this unfolding story, which has the potential to reshape both the tech and healthcare landscapes. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
Nvidia looks stretched. Does that mean you sell it?
I think it's a dangerous game to play. If you don't own it, the only way you can sell it is to short the stock, and that's a recipe for disaster, especially leading into an earnings report. And the way to think about Nvidia is, are you a trader? In which case, you buy at a low price and sell at a high price, and Nvidia might be the game you want to play. Are you an investor? Or you're buying based on earnings and cash flows? Nvidia is an amazing company, great growth, amazing cash flows, superb margins, but you're paying a premium price even given all of those pluses. So I think you've got to be honest with yourself about the game you came to play.
So, and broaden that out for the whole market. You make an interesting point here. You say hubris is the greatest sin in investing, the excessive pride. And when people use the word bubble, it tends to be a sign of hubris. Explain.
I think that when you use the word bubble, you're essentially arguing that the rest of the market has lost its mind. And that, to begin with, is a sign of an ego that's out of control. When you think something is overvalued, all it means is you think it's overvalued. It doesn't mean it's overvalued. It doesn't mean you have the truth. You have your truth and you got to act on it, but the rest of the world has their own truth. So my view on investing is make your own judgments, but don't pass judgment on other people buying or selling stocks because you don't like what they pay.
So in your judgment, among some of the mega cap stocks, what's a better deal right now?
I think Amazon is a better deal than Nvidia as an investor. If you wanted to go with the mega tech, I think Amazon is a better buy than Nvidia. It might not play out that way as a trade, but I think given the earnings and the cash flows, if I had to buy a stock now and you force me to buy a big tech, I would rather own Amazon or buy Amazon than buy Nvidia right now.
How are you valuing small cap stocks, which have performed not as well as mega cap names that we've been discussing so far? And when should investors, not traders, but investors, start charting out narratives that make sense to them where those are concerned?
I think a lot of people believe in mean reversion, which is they assume that if small caps have underperformed for a while, they've got to come back. I'm going to posit that there's been an economic shift, that the way the economy is structured is you have more winner-take-all businesses, which effectively put smaller companies at a disadvantage. So one reason why I think small cap stocks have underperformed larger cap stocks, not just over the last few months, but over the last decade, is because the market seems to have come to that realization as well. It might have overcorrected, and there might be some kind of a reversion back at least to a more normal pricing. But I'm going to argue that those people who expect the old small cap premium, small caps historically have delivered higher returns than large caps to come back, might be barking up the wrong tree.
The healthcare industry is experiencing a significant labor shortage, with predictions of up to 20 million healthcare positions going unfilled. Enter Nvidia, whose solution-focused AI creations are stepping in precisely where the needs are greatest. The analyst Harlan Sur recently lauded Nvidia's strategic movements, highlighting the potential of AI agents like delivery robots and generative AI capable of engaging in clinical conversations. Through partnerships with tech-forward companies like Intrivo and Abridge, Nvidia's digital health agents are earning their keep by effectively addressing personnel gaps typically considered insurmountable. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
We have a quarter next week that is way too big, looming, Nvidia. And there's too many people in Nvidia right now. Like, you know, I went to a, I had our great charity event. Thank you for Sag Harbor Cinema.
Yes.
And thank you for inviting me and the table. And there are people there who just said, look, NVIDIA has made my life. Well, no, it hasn't unless you sell some. NVIDIA's not made your life yet. And then we had a guy last night, a caller, who just said, look, after NVIDIA, I was going to name my dog Chewy. And I said, what are you, like, I'm shorting your dog, you know? I mean, what are you doing with it? But like, Chewy, okay, farmer's dog. So I just think there's just too much on the line. Look, that's not negative. It just says, look, there's too much on the line.
Yeah, take a look at it. You mentioned the semis here. For the group, 22% in 10 days.
But that's just unbelievable.
It's going to be the
best.
best.
I remember, like, in 1984, there was this rally in Texas Instruments, and there used to be this machine it was in Grand Central Station. I used to hog it. There were people behind me, get out. But I was just hitting up Texas Instruments calls, and it would be like, wow, this thing is just a juggernaut. It'd be monolithic memories. There were all these things, all these semis, and after a while, like, we were just bidding up the same stocks over and over again. And it was on the idea that maybe we were going to go digitized, not analog. and I just, after a while, overstayed my welcome. Except for Motorola. That one I didn't overstay because they pivoted to cell phone. I don't have something new that will make me take it up, so I'm just now playing multiple expansion. And NVIDIA's got too much water to carry. I think it's going to be fantastic, and then I think that the guide may not be satisfactory. Because I don't know what you have to do to just, this is a huge rally. And remember, talk about double top. I mean, this would be the one because that last top was so ugly. I mean, it was just up huge and then boom down, which is textbook. So my feeling about Nvidia. I want to own it. I want to trade it. But I do recommend that people look at what it's done. I mean, look at the August low. Look at now. What a comeback. Boom.
Moving beyond incredible AI agents, NVIDIA's data center platforms, Omniverse, Cosmos, and DGX Cloud, are pivotal to advancing AI's role in healthcare. Their adaptability, spanning on-premise, cloud-based, or hybrid solutions, propels enterprise adoption rates further into the stratosphere. The prognosis: a whopping $1 billion in annual healthcare revenues for NVIDIA by fiscal year 2026, in a market that promises growth reaching hundreds of billions. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Take the election back to November. We still have next week NVIDIA earnings on the 28th. The importance of that day for this market now, given what the market's done and what NVIDIA's done, is what?
So I think most of the folks who come on this show have probably forgotten more about NVIDIA than I will ever know. But what I would say is I still think it's as high profile a stock as there is in the marketplace. It is still the number 2 weight in the index, rounding up to 7%. And so I think it matters hugely, particularly in a week that otherwise will probably be pretty quiet and pretty illiquid. I think it's going to be a show me story, of course, not just as it relates to revenues and net income, but what is the status of Blackwell? And I think the more important takeaway is, what does it tell us about the AI narrative regarding AI spend and AI CapEx? And I think I would say this: for much of the past 2 years, the AI narrative was profoundly bullish and essentially one way. Now you've opened up kind of the other side of the debate around the ROI, around the ROIC. And so I think the market's going to want to get a waypoint that tells you the spend is still there and companies are going to deliver that ROI sooner than later.
Now we got to show me.
As we wrap up this exploration, one fact remains clear. NVIDIA is on the cusp of something spectacular in healthcare AI. It's not just about profitable numbers or revolutionary technologies. It's about the tangible impact and innovation that these advancements hold for the future. Currently, NVIDIA stands at an interesting intersection of technology and medicine, its stock experiencing an upward trajectory that reflects its undeniable potential. So, what do you think? Are NVIDIA's medical aspirations as impactful as they appear? Join the conversation and share your thoughts. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like NVIDIA have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.